All right, guys, we're back in the garage. Time for a quick update. The RX-7 is now on jack stands. It's missing its suspension because we've sold it, and we're waiting for the new stuff to arrive. So it's just kind of chilling right now. Got to drop that rear subframe still, so we can get a bunch of stuff behind there powder coated. But we've been working on the Lexus, and so we just got the transmission filled up with fluid. Still have to bleed the clutch. Still waiting on a piece to do that, but that'll be soon. And then we have all the rear end stuff off. It's all for sale. If you need anything, hit me up. And then everything in here. So the goal is to get it to start and drive with no check engine lights, no codes. And so we were able to do that. Definitely took some doing, but I like my system, the way that I set it up, way better than the way Cartmill set it up. C-A-R-T-M-I-L-L. If you're on Club Lexus forums, you can check him out. He did a wonderful write-up. Honestly, it was like way overkill for what was needed. As far as I know so far, right? Like, I haven't actually driven the car on the street, but here in the garage, I'm able to get it running and driving. No check engine lights, no codes, no issues. All right, I got interrupted with another phone call. Apologize, my bad, guys. But anyhow, long story short, what I wanted to say is that Cartmill did an amazing write-up on Club Lexus. If you're not following him on there, look for his posts. I mean, it was years ago. I mean, 2012, 2013, I think is when he did his swap. Maybe it was even 2011. It was a long time ago. And now we're here in 2024. Today's the first day of 2024, so Happy New Year. And yeah, we're just kind of getting things situated here in this Lexus, and the way I did the wiring is way different than he did it. And so I'm gonna just briefly explain it to you guys, so hopefully it makes some sense. I'm actually gonna pull out my phone so I can give you guys an even better description of what I did. So let's see here. I'm pulling up my notes right now. So what I did for, let's go over the reverse lights first, because I think that's important. So I'm using a T56 transmission. As long as you're using a transmission that has a neutral or a ground trigger switch for reverse, you can just run those two wires. One wire is going to go to pin 4 on your connector. I don't know why my camera keeps doing that. So here is the connector I'm talking about. So you could either like put plugs in there or whatever. What I chose to do is cut it in the back so I could read what pin numbers we actually have here, because it was extremely difficult to read those pin numbers with it inside of the vehicle. And you could do this underneath your transmission as well. I just chose to do this in the vehicle because I want all that wiring to not be in the trans tunnel. Like, I don't need it dangling around and beating itself to death under there. And I don't really like the idea of zip tying it up and having something rip it off later or whatever. So I cut my plug, and what I did is I wired pin 4 to pin 8. So we have pin 4 going to one side of the transmission ground trigger switch for reverse lights. So we have one wire going to pin 4, and the other wire from the transmission trigger ground switch is going to pin 8. And so pin 8 is the one that actually lights it up. Pin 4 is just the one that gives it that signal. And then let's see, you could wire in park, but you don't need to. And so I thought you needed to wire in park in order to get the vehicle to start, but you don't. So we skipped doing that. And then we just, I mean, I did it, and then I realized that we didn't need to do it, so I undid it. And then pin 4 and pin 9, you wire together direct 100% all the time. So you just leave them together. So pin 4 and pin 8 are wired to the ground trigger switch for reverse lights. Pin 4 and pin 9 are just wired together all the time. So you will have to do like a pigtail from pin 4, so you can have two wires coming off of it. So one can go to pin 9, one can go to pin 8. And then pin 5 and 6 just get wired in together. So you just, put those together 100% all the time. And then that allows you to now start the car and have the car running but you're gonna get transmission codes because you haven't done it all yet. So even though you left all of your stuff plugged in, so you have all of these guys, you take apart your automatic transmission, and you have all of these guys kind of dangling around here, you're gonna get some codes on the dash. And I was really kind of concerned. I was like, well, what's going on with those codes? And what I figured out was that these actually need to be grounded. There's two of them. So you got this guy right here, he needs to be grounded, and this guy right here, he also needs to be grounded. So you ground those two to the chassis somewhere, and then you clear your check engine light codes, and then you turn the car on. You have 0 engine codes at all. So there's no engine codes on the car, so it's running and it should drive like that with no codes. So I have yet to figure out the driving portion, because again, we haven't driven the car yet, so I don't know how well this is going to work or not yet. But from what I can tell you, from what I can see, we should be a-okay. I'm still a little bit worried about how we're going to run the dash speedometer. I think the speedometer is run on the ABS sensors, and so as long as it just takes one ABS sensor to run the car, we're going to be in the money, a-okay. If it takes more than one ABS sensor to run the car, we're not going to be a-okay, because our rear 2 ABS sensors we've now unplugged. Oh, they're still plugged in. They're just not going to be hooked up to anything. So when we go to the WiseFab rear grip kit, there's going to be nothing there for it to hook into. So that's going to be kind of problematic. I think we're going to be able to get around that somehow, some way. We still have our Dakota digital dash that we're going to be wiring in. Haven't done that yet. But I did figure out which plug it needs to get wired into. So again, I have a 2000 SC300. So some of these cars came with 2-wire plugs, some of them came with 4-wire plugs, but these 2 wires right here on this plug, my plug is broken, so, but don't mind that, because we're going to cut these wires anyhow. And then you get another one right here. So I just plugged that one in and left it, so we wouldn't get any check engine light codes. And I'm not even sure that that one is needed. Like, I don't think you actually have to have that plugged in, so we'll test that out later, because if we don't, we'll just take it out, leave it unplugged permanently, and then that'll be fine, as long as you don't get any check engine light codes. If we do, we'll plug it back in. But the other one is your VSS. So this is your vehicle speed sensor. So that is what we're going to need to run cruise control with the Dakota digital dash. So we're going to hook up to our vehicle speed sensor on the T56, which is a 17-tooth reluctor wheel, and on the OEM Toyota Lexus transmission, it is a 4-tooth reluctor wheel. So we're going to reduce that gear ratio all the way down to 25%, because that's the max the Dakota digital dash will do. And so it'll reduce it from 17 teeth to 4.25 teeth per drive shaft revolution. So your cruise control will effectively work up until 100 plus miles an hour, like 100, 101, 102, something like that. Cruise control will work. After that point, your cruise control will no longer work, because the vehicle, it's going to flash at you. Cruise control will start flashing because it's going to think that you're doing over 125 miles an hour. Now, here's the thing. You don't cruise at 100 miles an hour, so you're going to be fine. Like, I mean, I'm going to cruise probably 70, 80, maybe 85 max, depending on where I'm at and what the speed limit is. So it's like, we're going to be a-okay to run cruise control all day long at whatever speed we're going to be going, because we're not going to be going that fast over 100 miles an hour trying to run cruise control. It just doesn't even make sense. So hopefully this is really helpful information to you guys. It took me a long time to figure this out. I spent days on the wiring just to get it sorted, and then get everything tested, and then try to figure out where my check engine light codes were, and then how to get rid of those. And the biggest thing was just grounding those 2 plugs in the transmission. I guess they're not plugs, but these sensors have to get grounded. Like, so this guy, and again this guy, if you don't ground those, you're gonna have a check engine light code for each one of them. And how I figured that out was just like happen chance. Like, it was actually touching the frame, and it grounded itself out, and I thought I saw a spark, and I was like, oh no, what's that? And then I was like, wait a second, maybe these things have to be grounded. So figured that out, and then once I figured out that those needed to be grounded, I was like, all right, we're in the money, we're off to the races. So so yeah, everything's good to go. I don't really have time right now to complete the wiring. and tidy everything up. So I'm gonna get out of here and head home, but I just want to give you guys a quick update on how I did it, and you know, the fact that it's working. We don't have any check engine lights on the dash, which to me is pretty important. If you're in a state like California or I think Oregon or whatever states, you know, check your engine light and emissions and all that fun stuff, you know, you're gonna need to do something. So this, I think, is the easiest, simplest way. And then you don't have to mess with a relay. You don't have to do what Cartmill did with the e-brake, where he pulls it up and it's in park, he puts it down, it's in drive. You don't have to do any of that. I mean, this is a way simpler way, and you don't even need the park light to come on. It just comes on automatically in drive. So when you put the key in, turn the key over, it just says that you're already in drive. When you switch it over to reverse, it's gonna light up reverse and drive at the same time, which still doesn't throw any codes from what I can see so far. And then your reverse lights kick on. When you get it out of reverse, your reverse turns off, reverse lights turn off. And so it's kind of like a win-win-win. I mean, this is this is the easiest thing that I've done in a while to like set something up like this. So pretty happy and proud that we were able to figure this out. And I really hope that this helps other people in the future to do it right and get those check engine light codes off of your dash, so that way you can enjoy your driving experience. And if there is an issue, you can actually find it, because you know you wouldn't typically have a check engine light code on. So if it does pop up, that does mean that there's some sort of issue. So all right guys, till next time, peace.